This is a View from the Bridge, official podcast of the Belfast Giants for kingdomofthegiants.com. Today's Tuesday, the 16th of January, 2024. It's my mother's 70th birthday today, so she doesn't watch, but happy birthday, Mother. My name is Patrick Smith. We're live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and you can also download us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and all your normal podcast providers. If you're watching on YouTube, and like and subscribe and all sort of good stuff, reviews, you know what I'm talking about. On this week's show, 2 victories at home over the Panthers and 2 entertaining performances. Let's have a look at those. Greg Printz was back to scoring ways, and he joins us for a chat, as does Tyler Beskorowany, fresh off international duty. Game 3 of this Nottingham series against the Panthers on Saturday, and Chris Ellis of the Nottingham Panthers media team will be joining us very shortly to discuss the games gone by and the ones ahead. And we'll reveal the player of the month for December and look around the league and see what crack there is there. Mr. McJimsey, you doing well?
I'm just texting your ma.
Happy
birthday, Ma Smith. Happy birthday, Ma Smith. 70 a day, 70 years young.
She made it.
Yeah, no, dead on, mate. Dead on. Hanging in there. Never a bad weekend after you came off a 4-pointer against the Panthers with one still to come. So,
enjoyable. Mr. Kitchen, how are you?
I'm all right, Patrick. Happy birthday to Mama Smith. 70 is a big target, and that's brilliant. But yeah, I'm okay. It's good coming on the podcast when, as David said, we win 2 games in a row at the weekend, which hasn't happened very often this year.
Mm-hmm. We never take it for granted, mate. Never take it for granted. Can we just start at the top of the show to give it? We did it last week. We'll do it again. Big shout out to Taff. Says,
yeah, how's
he doing?
He's a bit down the dumps, to be honest. He's struggling at the minute. He's for somebody who's always on the go and always doing something, have to be told to sit down and do nothing is a bit of a challenge. So I'm sure he'll be wanting to get back to work as soon as possible, but he needs to sit down and rest it and listen to the doctors. And let Robert had a chat with him on Friday night and told him to just get it. Like, do you know what? It's the season. It's this bloody season. I'm going out there with bubble wrap. It looks like a bubble wrap on me all day long, every day, but that's not the case. It's just unbelievable what's happened this year with the organization team. Everybody's got hurt and everybody's got sick, and hopefully that's after top, that's it all done.
Davy, it was just last week you were giving a shout out to Taff as well about the hard work that he does, and you're right. He says absolutely right. Needs to sit down, take it easy for a few weeks.
Haven't they absolutely scudded him there? Like, I feel so bad for him, man. He's my buddy, and he's hurting, and so it means we all hurt too. But like Simon said it there, this has been a season that has just been. We will talk about it at the end of the season, no matter the results, no matter the trophies, no matter the banners. We'll come back and give you some stats on how many people really had bad injuries and what they were and stuff. It's mental. And for Taft to be now on that list, it's mental. It just feels so bad for him. It's like, get well soon. I text him all the time, but like, get well soon, Taft. Thinking about you, bud.
100%, mate. Get well soon. Rest up and get back to fighting fit and come back and get involved again. But yeah, big shout out to Taff. Right, gents, let's get stuck into these 2 games against the Nottingham Panthers. Well, as I normally do when we get 2 games like this, I'll run through the stats for both games and we'll just talk about it. Chris Ellis will be along probably in about 10 minutes to join us as well for a bit of the chat. But the first game took place on Friday night, nearly 7,000 people in the building. 2-1 win for the Belfast Giants. It was Nottingham who opened the scoring, just under 2 minutes from Miles McGurdy. But then Aaron Azarian before the end of the first, and then Will Cullen in his second debut for the Belfast Giants, getting the game-winning goal in net. Tyler Beskorowany, 27 shots on, 2 goals against. And, sorry, hold on. I've got that wrong, have I? Yes, I have. Sorry, 38 shots. 38 shots against, 1 goal against. And Mike Robinson, the other side, 35 shots on, 2 goals against. Pavel Hallis and Vitas Lukasevicius were the referees for the whole weekend. We moved to the game that took place the next night for the stats on that. And it was double the fun with double the score, 4-2 to the Belfast Giants. Greg Printz, who will be joining us shortly, Bobby McIntyre, Aaron Nazarian again, and Oliver Cooper was the 4 for the Belfast Giants. Hugo Waugh and Otto Neiman for the Nottingham Panthers. Besko, 27 shots on, 2 goals against, and Rock Stevanic, 44 shots on, 4 goals against. Pavel and Vitas were refereeing, as I said. Davey, there seemed to be, obviously we had Will Cullen coming back in, David Goodwin coming back into the side, a little bit of changes going on. Sadly, we've seen that Quinn Preston has gone back to North America, scored just the other day as well for the Wichita Thunder, so hope he does well. But coming back to the Giants, it seemed to be a different approach to the game.
Yeah, before I go on the game, I'll just echo what you said there about Quinn Preston. Insanely talented boy. We talked on different webcasts and podcasts about the shot that he had, possibly NHL quality shot, just didn't work out for him in Belfast, but for one reason or another, and you can't help but like the fella and hope that he didn't work out for him here. No ill will. I hope he goes on and does good things back in North America. I hope he doesn't come back this league and do good things unless it's with us, but we wish him all the best for the future. But then on to the game, and because time moves on, and we move into the game, and could have went. What was your question, Paddy? Sorry.
The approach seemed different from the Giants.
Hey, tell you what, possibly Quinn moving on, different players being healthy scratched, more players coming back to fitness, different options with Goodwin and Cullen coming in, giving the coach different options, and some people can take that as a kick in the backside, some people can huff about it, and you hope that the reaction will be the previous, that people will take this as I want to be playing, I don't want to be watching. People had to watch long enough when they're right injured, so whenever they're fit, they're not going to be wanting to watch, they're going to be wanting to be playing. Unfortunately, we came out to that. It wasn't even a slow start. We were quite well. We were well placed down in the Panthers' end, and it wasn't even much of a turnover. It was their first rush down the ice of the game, and it gets worked back to the point here. McGurdy has the shot, and somehow it maybe takes a little deflection, but just onside whatever from Besco there. And over the last number of weeks, when we've gone down, that can get into your head. But I thought there was quite a strong pushback from us. I liked actually our game on Friday night. I didn't think that rocked us in any way. It was just straight back to work. It was almost like, right, it's 0-0. Just get back to work here, and we went hard on the Panthers, and obviously come up with a little bit of luck for the first one with the deflection, letting Naz get away. But I thought we were well worth the win on Friday night.
There seemed to be a lot more physicality in this game, especially on Friday night. I know Davy Phillips was turned down, but it seemed that the Giants, there were a lot more hits. It got quite feisty at times.
Yeah, well, Adam's, been drumming into the guys, look, it's a fresh start, fresh year. Obviously disappointing last weekend, but didn't pick up, all the points from the Fife Flyers game. And then obviously the trip to Cardiff was cancelled. Davey just touched on the first goal there. I spoke to Besco after the game, and he said it took a deflection off the pants of Cameron Pound. So, with that being that close from a point, the shot point, but then Besco goes unbeaten for the rest of the game. I think it was 38 shots altogether. Mm-hmm. So he saved the next 37, which was excellent. It's good to get him back playing again. And when as Davey touched on, it's about taking your chances when they come along. And that video there now for the people who are watching online is an absolutely ideal situation as well. They turn the puck over just inside their blue line. Naz makes no mistake about it, and just sticks the head down and gets past them there. Big defenseman Dupre, and then Dupre just gives up. There's no fight back from him at all. But over the Friday and the Saturday, I think you're right, Paddy. I think that there was a different type of desire, and that is going to be honest. I think that's coming from David Goodwin. We know over the last couple of years the compete level of David Goodwin, and obviously he was here last year and the year before with Scott Conway and how many points they scored. And he's coming out of a league that, let's be honest, he was top pointer, 28 points in 10 games, I think it was, in the Spanish league, which is way down the European standings of quality of hockey. He didn't miss a beat. I thought he was absolutely brilliant on Friday night. I thought he was brilliant on Saturday night as well. But he makes other players around him better. I think it's fair to say that, he obviously stepped in there. He played with Hank and Greg Printz on Friday night. I thought Greg Printz over the weekend, especially the Saturday night, was absolutely brilliant. I thought Saturday night was probably his best game in title. I think, again, in my opinion, I thought he was just unplayable on Saturday night. Got the first goal, set the second one up with a lovely pass across the crease to Bobby McIntyre at the back door. Cully played really well, obviously getting the game winner on Friday night. There was just a lot of individuals playing very well and ultimately getting the team the 4 points over the weekend was the most important thing. But we haven't touched on Josh Roach. Roachy was brilliant at the weekend.
Yeah,
he's just a Rolls Royce. I know I said this about Jim Vandermeer in the past before, and I don't want to put the two of them together on a pedestal. But Roachy was, for the length of time that he's been out and the battling that he's done to get back to play again, and playing so many minutes in a 2-game weekend back to back, I thought he was absolutely brilliant. And again, there was just a different feeling around the rink, I think, as well. You know, Quinn obviously moving on and wanting to go back to North America. That's fine. The kid, you know, he's super talented. But you know, if guys move on all the time, and that's just the way it works. And bringing David Goodwin back in was a brilliant move by Adam and Steve. I just thought over the weekend he stood out a bit. I thought he just made everybody else raise their game. I don't want to say that he grabbed everybody by the scruff of the neck and shielded them forward, but I just thought that everybody else stepped up. There's so many good performances that you could pick from, and it was just nice to get the 4-point weekend and interview Adam after the game on Saturday night, and you know, he was in good form, which is good to see as well.
Well, funny you should mention that. We've got Chris Ellis in the wings just waiting to join us, and we're going to add him into this discussion. But first, let's hear from Adam Keefe in the post game on Friday.
Much more like, you know, a Belfast Giants team that we're used to in terms of the mentality was there from the start that even when we got scored against, that we were going to claw our way back into that game. And then even when Nottingham had a big push there in the third period, I thought the guys were pulling the rope in the right direction, trying to change the momentum of the game and trying to fight it off, and right down there to the wire there when they pulled the goalie. And I thought the longer OC and Bobby McIntyre line, you know, did a great job of keeping them in their own zone with the goalie out. And you know, that sucks a lot of life out of a team when that happens, when you're trying to get the goalie out, you're trying to make a big push there at the end, and you're stuck in your own zone. Those things really matter. And I thought that we did the little things right in the third period to see out that game, and that hasn't always been the case. So, you know, from that standpoint, I love the mentality of the group. I love the positive bench. I love the communication on the bench, and I like the effort. The effort was there. Obviously, there's a lot of areas we can still clean up. We made too many mistakes, gave up too many shots. But I think that's a good Nottingham team. You know, they're fast, they're skilled. So you really got to be good against them. Otherwise, they are going to put some pressure on you.
Adam Keefe speaking after the game against Nottingham Panthers on Friday. Let's add in the media manager for the Nottingham Panthers. Delighted to be joined once again on A View from the Bridge by Chris Ellis. How are you doing, Ali?
Good evening, guys. How you doing?
Always in his dressing gown.
Oh, it's ready for bed.
It's 9:15.
Oh, brilliant! Absolutely brilliant.
Give us your take on Nottingham this weekend.
I mean, I think Friday night was a better night for Nottingham than Saturday. It's not as easy, despite the great coverage and the great commentary. You're not in the rink, so you don't get the same feel for it than watching online. But I think they were well within a shout on Friday. I thought that, you know, play that game 10 times, it's probably 5 wins for Belfast, 5 wins for Nottingham. You know, that's my point, is it was a very even game. Saturday, I just didn't quite feel they were at the races, Nottingham. They were playing catch-up really from the first face-off, really. So, you know, it's kind of indicative of Nottingham's season that they've tried hard. They as Adam said, they've got some really skillful players. But obviously, you know, what happened to this team, no one's ever had to go through. It's been a traumatic season for this team, and you just don't know how much that's affecting players. It's no one can put that into context, really. So, you know, what I do think, and I know it's not the question that you asked me, but you know, a lot of the fan base are behind this team. You saw the turnout in Belfast, and they're still with this team. That wouldn't normally happen to a you know, a 10th place hockey team, but they're still with this team, and there's a lot of, you know, and one thing as well is, for the first time in probably 4 or 5 years, you can see a core that you want this team to be built around, and you know, I find that quite exciting.
Simon, you were obviously you were in the building and commentating, and there was quite a large number of Nottingham Panthers fans that came over. It was one of the largest traveling supports we've seen from Nottingham in many a year, probably since they won the league in our race, which I'm sure Chris is delighted that I've mentioned.
Yeah, well, I mean, I thought winning the league doesn't happen very often for Nottingham, you know. So, but the numbers of the fans were absolutely incredible, and fair play to them because they just never give in. Even when they get beat both nights, they were still giving a stand ovation for their team. And I think Chris is right. You know, nobody knows what the players are going through. And I've had conversations with our guys before, and you know, different things pop up, and there's things that can affect teams in different ways, and for what that team have had to go through and had to witness is unbelievable. But you know, there is some really good players in that team. Make no mistake about it. Karen Neal is
just about to say.
I would say he's arguably one of the top 3 best defensemen in the league. I really would. He's such a smooth skater, sees the ice so well, you know, makes simple plays, but also was capable of making unbelievable plays. LeMay's a good player. Otto Niemanen's a really solid player. And, you know, Michael Robinson played really well in net for them as well on the Friday night. Stojanovic, I'm not so sure on. You know, I think, you know, as when you look at his stats are outstanding, but I just think he's beatable. Every time we play him, I just think he's beatable. Well, that doesn't go back to bite me in the arse, but, you know, every time we play him, even last year when he was in Sheffield, or sorry, year before when he was in Sheffield, I just thought, but every time we played them, we've got a really good chance of winning. So, but they do have a really good team, and it's great to see so many Nottingham Panthers fans over in Belfast. We know they're going to enjoy themselves whether they win or lose, because we've got an unbelievable city here. And it was. I think Chris is absolutely right. The Friday night game was a lot tighter than what obviously it ended up, and it was only 2-1. But the 4-2 game, it was a 2-1 game, Paddy. The 4-2 game on the Saturday night. Again, I just thought that I think we could have actually scored a couple more on Friday night. Panthers Friday night, they hit the post 3 times as well. And Besco put a number of really big saves up, which ultimately it ended up winning us a game as well. So, look, we've all no love for the Nottingham Panthers, but with what they've had to go through this year, I think they deserve a lot of credit to continue to keep going. And you know what? Dicko said it on Friday night. They get into the playoffs. I think they will get the top 8 of the playoffs. I still wouldn't want to be playing the Nottingham Panthers going into their own building in a quarterfinal on a get to the playoffs. I genuinely wouldn't.
Sorry, David, I thought you were saying something.
Ellie, well, yes, I want Chris. Just there's a wee co-pilot's head keeps appearing in just his shoulder there. Do somebody want to get a wee appearance in AVFTB while you were?
No, they should be in bed actually. So
I just going back to the game on Saturday. So Friday night, I agree with you both guys. Like it was a tight game. Saturday night, I thought the Giants actually came out of the traps really well. And for that first, I'm going to say like 6-7. Just looking at my own notes from that I was doing while I was watching the game and taking stats and stuff. Like the ozone pressure the Giants had in that first 7-8 minutes was just everything was down in the Panthers' end. There was the odd breakout, but then it was the game turned on. Just both teams got into a bit of penalty trouble. Panthers obviously first, and we come away with the 2 power play goals. Then they go back with their own 5-on-3, which you can analyze whether it's a 5-on-3 or not. But anyway, and that brings the game close. But I felt that we were just a bit of a step ahead on the second night. First night pretty close. Second night, obviously traveling off for the Panthers is going to be difficult. And as little credit as I'll ever give to the Panthers, but for them to still be digging in as a team, it's actually something pretty special to see. A team that's scratching down around the bottom of the league, just going to work every night and still putting up a performance for those fans that came over to Belfast. And I'm sure they're pretty proud of those guys in, well, white as it was on Saturday night.
Well, you make a great point, and that's, I think, one of the reasons why the fans love the team. I mean, I think we've all known that Nottingham have had teams that have probably not worked hard enough. They've been stacked with talent in the past, and in some years, maybe the league title race has gone, and people have said, then that they're happy to be quite fancy but not work hard. But this team works hard every single night, and the fans respond to that. They lost to the Steelers twice at Christmas, on home ice at Christmas. They got applauded off. They lost to Coventry on New Year's Eve. They got applauded off. This fan base, not just what happened, that yes is a major part, but they work hard. And I think, Nottingham fans, they just want to see a team that's going to the wall for them. And it's not gone for them. Yeah, it hasn't. And results have gone against them a lot in recent weeks, of course. But, they're not giving up. And not many games are they're being blown out by. A lot of the games are close. And I think if they got somebody I think the problem is one weekend you'll see a couple of guys come to the fore. The next weekend it'll be a couple of different forwards. Then it'll be back to the original ones. There's just no one's been able to be consistent for them. And maybe Matthew LeMay probably is the closest to that in terms of the forwards. Carl Neal, absolutely. I thought he's been brilliant this season. But all weekend, you were right. The way he carried the puck as well this weekend, I thought he was phenomenal. But yeah, it's been a really strange season. But you're right. If Panthers can find a way to get in the playoffs, who knows?
Without going back over any, sorry, Paddy, I know you're going to come in there. Just fast, you know what I'm like with psychology and stuff. Without going into any detail on anything that's gone beyond, this must be tough. We see enough of a team like ours that hasn't gone through the trauma that the Panthers have, and guys just struggling through the dog days, as Jordan Boucher called them. Like, this is tough mentally for these guys to have to come to work every day.
Yeah, I mean, it's something that I think it's really hard to put into words, and I think it will be very hard for this team to put into words. It's something that I think we all know this sport is so dangerous, but I don't think any of us ever thought we'd see this happen at all. And these guys, what I think they have got, and we talk about it a lot, that they've got a really close bond. They were close before what happened. They were very, very tight team. One of the tightest I've seen for years, probably for, in my opinion, maybe, in over a decade or more. And then obviously what's happened has got them tighter. They will regularly, there's the old bar at the top, its name escapes me, Encore, just at the top of the rink there in the foyer. And after training, you'll regularly see 14, 15, 16 of them sitting together having lunch. Normally you'll see they'll go from 3s and 4s. That's the way they've got things to do. But yeah, you'll see sort of, as many as 14. They'll all just go up after practice, take advantage of their nice 25% discount and have a lunch in there in the Encore. So, even though that this run is not been great, that they're together. And yeah, what they've gone through mentally, you just can't put into words. But, I'm one of those. And yeah, you get people on social media, 90% are behind, but some fans are like, up in arms. But me, and I always say this, I'm just in awe of them that they managed to find a way to step back on the ice, because that's amazing after what happened.
Now, given what you've just said, and I'm just trying to find the practicalities, and this may sound, I don't want this to sound heartless, because it's not meant in that way, but obviously this is a results-based business. Do the Nottingham Panthers need to make some changes to try to force their way up the table?
That's a really interesting question. I do think that, new blood is needed just to shake things up a bit. Obviously, players have been coming in. I mean, I think they've made 3 additions, 4 if you count. Yeah, 4 because the Felix Paré who came in just a couple of weeks ago, made his debut at Belfast. The squad definitely does need a bit of tinkering. And yeah, I wouldn't be shocked if there was at least one more signing before the deadline by Omar Pasha and Jonathan Paraday. Obviously, there's been a lot of injuries as well. I mean, every side's had injuries, but I think that game, that second night at your guys, was the first time we've been at full strength for a month or 6 weeks. I think we were at full strength in December, middle of December, and then just catalogue after injury and incident after incident. And yeah, so I think for this team to be a team that might go into playoffs, yeah, there might need to be a little bit of tinkering.
One last question, Elliot, because I know you've got another official podcast to get stuck into very shortly, so I don't want to keep you too long. But obviously we traveled to the NIC this weekend. What are the Panthers like at home?
I mean, again, they've not been getting the results at home that they would hope. It's obviously where you expect to pick up most of your points. I think nearly every home game, as I say, they've been in every home game. They've been close. They've had a couple of good wins. Guildford is a standout win from just before Christmas. Obviously, the results over Christmas were not the same. They've been losing games, like on penalty shots and in overtime. That's been their problem. They've been getting so close. Manchester at home, they were leading with about 30 seconds to go, 45 seconds to go. Manchester score, and then they win that game in overtime. They've lost on penalty shots recently as well. As I say, the good thing is that they're in games at home, that they're taking games down to the wire, and that's to me the best chance of Panthers beating Belfast will be at home, rather than on the road. So they are a team, and they feed off the crowd as well. The crowd's keeping them in games at the moment. There was a game, I think it might have been the Dundee game where they ended up losing, I think, on penalty shots. But for the final 10 minutes, the noise was phenomenal as the crowd just willed them to score. They couldn't score. I think they actually had a 2-goal, from memory, they had a 2-goal lead in the shootout and ended up losing 3-2 on penalty shots in sudden death. They were too clear, and they had numerous chances where they could have seen out the penalty shootout. But yeah, they're really close at home. I do feel they're really close to giving someone a thumping. May come on Saturday, but we'll wait and see. But yeah, as you guys said, nobody would want to face Panthers on home ice, especially with this never say die attitude that they've got.
Listen, mate, we really appreciate your time. Thanks for joining us, and
great to catch up with you again, guys.
Enjoy. Give a best to Jono and the boys on your own podcast.
Will do. See you soon. Thanks a lot, guys.
Cheers, Chris.
Thanks, Elliot. Big thanks to Chris Ellis for joining us on the pod. We do have Tyler Beskorowany waiting in the wings. We're going to chat to him in just a second. But just briefly, gents, I'll go for both. Saturday's performance of the Belfast Giants, like I say, double the fun, double the score. Says, I'll start with you. Again, we seem to have that sort of more aggressive attitude in the game.
Again, I just think it's coming off the back of the win on Saturday night, and Adam trying to get everybody in the room to basically just do their own thing and try and just. Ellie just mentioned about the Panthers. There seem to be 3 or 4 guys playing well one night, and then it's another 3 or 4 another night. And I just thought we got 60 minutes out of the set of players that we have that played on Friday night and on Saturday night. So it's important. We need to get on a run. Do I think we're going to catch the Steelers? No, I don't. I don't think that the Steelers are going to drop it this year like they normally do. They're playing really, really well, and they just seem to be finding ways to win from losing positions, unlike what we did last week when when we played 5 from Dundee the week before. We were in the front, and then obviously they came back and won both games. But I just feel that there's guys there that we'll talk about the physicality. Everybody's buying into it, and we're playing as a team, and that's the most important thing. It starts from the centerman back the whole way to the goaltender. And if we can just get those and take one game at a time, one period at a time, one shift at a time, then I think we'll be all right.
Davy, what was your take on the Saturday's game?
Kind of what I was saying earlier there when Ellie was on, I thought we started really, really well. Obviously, then both teams ran into a bit of penalty trouble, but through the second period, we really took the game over. Thought we were really, really strong through the second period. Got pegged back a couple of times. It was 2-1, it was 3-2, and we've seen over the last number of months, maybe just like a little mental switch that we didn't have the ability just to see that out, take that pressure, and we were conceding goals. You talk, we'll have Besko on shortly there, giving you a chance to, when your goaltender's only conceding 1 or 2, then the pressure's on the forwards to score. And unfortunately, Friday night we got the 2, we only let him 1. Saturday night we went and got the 4 goals, and they give us a chance to win. Will Cullen coming in, I think, has made a change to the whole defensive core.
I agree.
And Simon talked about David Goodwin maybe just upping the intensity. And I think that was one thing that was noticeable. Certainly on Saturday night, I thought for the large portion of the 60 minutes, I know Adam will probably say that it was as close to a 60-minute game as we've had in quite a while, but the intensity was there. I like to see that. And as I said at the very top of the show, never a bad result against the Panthers when you have 2 points.
100%. You've just mentioned him there. We're going to go to, well, let's hear from Adam Keefe after Saturday's game, and we'll come back for a chat with Tyler Beskorowany.
I thought it was great from start to finish. Obviously, the penalties had a big impact, both for us offensively. Some great power play goals for us, and then the penalties against gave them some life and brought them back into the game. And but I thought right from that moment on, our guys kept on their toes and kept going, even when they got that second one in the third period. In the past, we've kind of gone back on our heels and thought, oh no, what's going to happen here? Whereas right now we're staying on our toes, and obviously OC got us a very big goal there to kind of give us a bit of insurance. But I thought everybody, again, pulling the rope tonight, some very tough decisions to leave some guys out tonight and to leave guys out yesterday. But I thought everybody on the roster had an impact on the weekend, and that's a great positive thing for this group and our mentality. Like the mentality of the group yesterday for the full 60, and I like the mentality of the group tonight for a full 60.
Yeah, big thanks to Belfast Giants TV. You get the highlights from those games on Belfast Giants TV on YouTube and the likes. Right, let's have our first guest of the evening, a man who's just fresh back off international duty. We'll no doubt have a quick chat about that as well. We're delighted to welcome back to View from the Bridge, Tyler Beskorowany. How are you doing, buddy?
Doing well. How are you guys?
Yeah, really good, really good. First of all, give us your take on the weekend past and the 2 victories over the Nottingham Panthers.
Yeah, I heard you guys talking about it a little bit, but any time you can go out in the weekend and get 4 points is huge. Especially with the way things have been going for us this year. It's never easy winning back-to-back games against the same team, and obviously that team wants to come out and they never want to go into a weekend or leave a weekend without any points. So you're going to get their best the second night, and so they played really well. They had a few scoring chances, and hats off to our guys that just showed up and played the right way and got the 4 points.
You're a man who has experience of coming back into the Belfast Giants locker room mid-season as you did last season and affecting change. This past weekend, you've had that with 2 familiar faces in Will Cullen and David Goodwin. How's that gone?
Yeah, it's a little different to be on the other end of it, I guess you can say, this year. But no, you know what? And I found that every time we got a new face into our room this year, it almost brought a breath of fresh air to our room. Where everybody just, they were a little happier, a little chippier. Whether it was John Curran, Hank, and now with Goody and Cully, it's just getting those guys and like I said, them just being excited to be there. It just brings everybody else up in the room. And so obviously they helped us out immensely this weekend, and hopefully we can get a little more from them going forward.
And what about yourself, Tyler? Obviously, you had to carry a lot of load there when Jackson was out injured. You were playing every game, training every day. Obviously, got not call it a break, but obviously went away with Canada over Christmas. Had family over. Got to relax a bit and you come back a wee bit more yourself.
Yeah, it was. I wasn't. It was one of those things where, I would have been happy. Obviously, I was excited to get there and play for Canada and whatnot. But even though I only got to play a couple minutes, it was just nice to get away a little bit and come back with a breath of fresh air. A clear mind, and excited to move forward with the second half of the year and excited to play again. And so, yeah, I was actually talking to Kiefer having that last weekend game against Cardiff canceled. I hadn't had a start in 3 weeks. So I was well rested coming into this weekend for sure.
Besco, you've already told me how the move for the Spengler Cup came about, but tell the AVFTB listeners who made the call to you and how it all came about.
Yeah, I was just sitting in my living room watching a movie with Sarah, and Joe Thornton ended up calling me. Well, actually, I looked at my phone and I said, "Who the heck is calling me from San Jose?" So I actually almost didn't answer. I was close to not answering the phone. And luckily I did. It was Joe Thornton calling me, asked me if I wanted to go play for Team Canada. And, obviously it was I kind of blacked out after that. I wasn't really sure what he was saying or what he was trying to get to. So that was all I remember him saying is someone was going to call me with details after. So no, I was super excited, and it was pretty cool to have a guy with that pedigree call me and ask if I wanted to play for Team Canada, right? And and then it was kind of messy after that because my parents were flying in. Actually, they were on a flight from Florida to Toronto, and so I kind of told them to call me because I wasn't sure what their plan was, if they wanted to go, if they wanted to stay back with the boys. And so that was interesting. And obviously, right at Christmas time, we had all these plans. We were supposed to stay in Edinburgh for Hogmanay, and so that all got all changed pretty quick. But no, it was exciting to be able to go to Switzerland and have a white Christmas and a couple Christmases, I guess.
And getting that call to play for Team Canada, I mean, I can only imagine it's any young Canadian's dream when you start playing the game, and your first game's to play your first game, and then you want to get better, and you get drafted, and you hopefully you want to go play in the NHL. But playing for Team Canada, there's hundreds of thousands of boys and girls who have dreamt of that since they put a pair of skates on, and you ultimately lived out that dream, and you got to play. You just touched on, it was only a couple of minutes, but you talk about Joe Thornton, Bruce Boudreau. Was he the one just tap you in the shoulder and say, "Get your gear on, you're going on," or what will happen as well?
Yeah, so that was another funny story. I was sitting on the bench. It was the middle of the third period, and there was a play right next to the bench, and there was a hit. And I got hit in the head with a stick. I don't know if you can see it. I got a mark there, and I started leaking blood. And so it was a good thing the doctor was right beside me. He came over and put a little glue on it and a Band-Aid. But then I would say about 3-4 minutes after that, Bruce leans over and says, "Hey, you're going in." And I kind of looked around. I said, "Me? I'm going in?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "Okay." And then Jim Playfair went over to him and said, "Whoa, wait. He just got hit in the head." No, I don't know. And at that point, I was already putting my gear on, and Bruce leaned over and said, "Are you good to go?" And I said, "Yes, absolutely." There was no way in hell they were stopping me from going in that net that day. So, and then, I ended up going in.
If we
Maybe
go
a little
back to
concussed, but
if we go back to when Jumbo Joe run, was there any? What's the process there? Are you just like looking at Sarah, just going, "Yeah, I'm coming to Davos," or is there like a process?
You got questions, first of all. It's the first one. Is like, who's this? Who is this really?
Well, I kind of answered. I said, "Hello," and he said, "Is this Tyler?" I said, "Yeah." And he said, "Hey, it's Joe Thornton calling." And at that point, I knew I was actually looking at the roster. I was trying to find the roster the previous 2 days before this happened, and I couldn't find a roster. I'm like, "Okay, well, that's weird. It's got to be coming out soon. Like, it doesn't make sense how it's not out yet. The tournament's in whatever it was, 6-7 days." And so and I know Joe was, I read a thing that Joe was going to be the assistant GM or the GM of the team. So when he called me, that was kind of where I realized that it was happening. And I went into a different room, and I didn't want Sarah to be there. And then it just, everything just kind of steamrolled from there. But yeah, it was pretty cool.
Like, was this complete surprise, or were any expectation that this call may have came, or was this like bolt from the blue stuff?
So I actually, at the beginning of the year, we were on our North Coast trip as with the team, and I was sitting there, and after a couple of beers, and I went over to Keith and I said, "Hey, listen, I don't think I've ever had a personal goal within a season before. I mean, you go over a year, you want to have X amount of goals against, whatever it may be." And I said, "I've never had a personal goal, but my goal this year is to play for the Spengler Cup." I told Keith this at the beginning of the year. Yeah, so I kind of put it out in the universe. And then I figured, it was one of those things where I had a good Champions League. So I was hoping that would get me on the radar for the international stage where, goalies from all over the place, and obviously you're playing against that high talent. So I knew I was coming off of that, and then that was kind of where I wanted things to snowball. But then obviously the season wasn't going my way, numbers weren't going too well. And then I was kind of thinking, like, well, if they're watching me play right now, there's no way in hell I'm going to play for Team Canada. So, but lucky, I guess I'm assuming they weren't watching. And then I kind of chatted with Kiefer. Well, after Joe called, I tried to call Kiefer. I said, hey, listen, how long have you known about this? And then he kind of filled me in, and he said he heard from them 3 weeks prior, just to see on availability. And so he basically said, like, if they needed an answer, then we weren't letting you go because Wiss was injured. Wiss can't play. And, you know, it was Peter Cech and Dicko in net. So he's like, we couldn't let you go at that time. It was still close with Sheffield and whatnot. And so he said, and then they ended up calling back. I believe it was 3 days before they actually called me and asked if I was able to go. And so that was kind of where he said he knew that things were starting to snowball a little more, and that you were probably going, is what he told me. So yeah, he knew a little bit more in advance, but yeah, I found out. I was the 19th when I found out.
I've got two questions to ask on this. We'll bring it back to the Giants again. But firstly, obviously, when this comes, did you draw an experience from anybody else? Did you contact? Obviously, Blair Riley's had experience there. Do you know any other buddies who had experience in Spengler Cup, and you phone up and says, "Hey, what's it like? What's the best way to approach this?"
So Blair reached out to me to congratulate me. He kind of just said, "You're going to love it. It's such a great experience. You know, the family's going to love it. They treat you really well." And so that was pretty much the extent of it. And then I knew, so I actually lived with Jordy Ben my first year pro in Texas. And so I kind of got there and knew him. And then Colton Sevier I played with as well in Texas. So I didn't really know what I was expecting going into it. And I was just fortunate enough to know a couple people there. And I mean, everybody there made it so easy. Like most players, most people do go into a team like that. It's such a fun experience that everybody just kind of makes it so easy for everybody to get along with each other.
And then the other question I had was, when the game came against Pardubice, did you not pull a game sheet out and go, "Come on, look, hey, look, I shut these guys out. Can we just run with this?"
No, well, I kind of told them I told the team afterwards that we had beat them in the Champions League this year, and they were kind of in disbelief a little bit, but I wasn't mentioning much before the game happened. So, but no, I was. Yeah, obviously, I think it was a little bit different game for Pardubice as well. Coming here, their backup was there. Probably their top line and a half didn't play. Maybe their top D man. They had already clinched their spot in the next round. So for them, it was probably a little bit different. It looked a little faster from where I was watching, anyways. And so they had a really good team. Really, it was a lot of great hockey, and it was really fun to watch.
Tell me, like, you got your shirt or some sort of memento to, of the occasion.
Yeah, they sent us back with. Actually, they did a really good job with hooking up my entire family with swagger. My parents were able to go, which was really fortunate for them. And they gave. Everybody ended up with a couple sweaters, some T-shirts, scarf, hat. Both boys got set up well, so everybody ended up with a jersey. So yeah, we were pretty well taken care of in that aspect. And then they sent me home with both jerseys, my white and red, that are already gone home. So that one won't be getting auctioned off at Kiefer's testimonial, unfortunately. That one will be that one's probably getting framed with my draft jersey.
Brilliant.
Besko, let's get you back to the Giants. Obviously, 2 games of the weekend we played. We won both of them, which hasn't happened very often this season with back-to-back wins. We're heading into this weekend. We've got to go and play Nottingham again. They've just lost twice to us. They'll be looking to try and get the third one this weekend. But obviously, the boys have had a couple of days off to refresh and get ready to go again starting tomorrow morning.
Yeah, it was a good week of getting away from the rink, getting away from the guys. Really, we had a bit of fun there over the weekend with enjoying ourselves with going into the town and whatnot. Like I said, just getting our mind off of hockey, and it's such a long season that you kind of need that, especially this year where there's no national team break or anything like that for us. And so, we were able to get 2 days off, and then today was kind of a team building thing where we ended up going to the Hollywood Golf, the simulators there. So a lot of fun and excited to get back to it. I think the guys are excited to get to the rink tomorrow, even though it is Dundonald. Getting back to it and putting their work boots on and looking forward to this weekend, because I mean, yeah, like you said, Nottingham, obviously they're going to be looking for revenge on us, and I believe we play Coventry as well, if I'm not mistaken.
Coventry on Sunday.
So yeah, obviously we want a little bit of revenge on them as well, and so it's going to be a huge weekend for us, and I think we're ready for the challenge.
Listen, Besko, we'll not keep you any longer. We really appreciate you joining us. Good luck this weekend. And congratulations on the Spengler Cup call-up.
Yeah, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Big thanks to Tyler Beskorowany for his time. That was great chat. That we're going to batter straight ahead because our next guest has been waiting in the wings for a little bit. He was the one that got a first star in the games this weekend, also with a goal. Delighted to welcome back to a View from the Bridge, Greg Printz. How are you doing, mate?
Good. How are you guys? Thanks for having me on.
Doing really well. Great weekend. Two great wins and a goal for yourself. Gives you a reflection.
It was much needed. Nice to get 4 points and not come out of there with 3 or blow a lead or anything like that. So it looked more like Giants hockey, and I think we all realized that from top to bottom, coaching staff, players, fans. I don't know. There's a good feeling in the locker room right now. So definitely getting some of those guys back. Just with Goody, he's a nice calming presence and a great player, obviously. And then Cully, big time goal, and then even getting Roshi back, that was huge for us. They're all proven winners, so it's helping us at this point. We'll see what we can do the rest of the way.
We were saying earlier in the show, looking at those 2 games, that there seemed to be a different approach from you guys. It seemed to be a lot more aggressive on the ice.
For sure, yeah. I think we've had a lot of talks throughout the year, but I think finally set in at the point we're at and what we're playing for. And then just getting guys back that were proven winners over the years. They were pushing us to come out and play Giants hockey, and they were showing us the way and leading. So I think it was easy to follow.
So, Greg, just as you've kind of alluded to there, we've brought in Hank, David Goodwin, Josh Roach coming back from injuries, like getting a new player, Will Cullen. These guys that have been to Belfast before, they know what the 54 game league season is about. Have those guys just lit it up, pushed it up another level?
Yeah, for sure. They've definitely ever since Rochi's came back, and then Goody from the day he walked in the locker room, so you can just feel the presence that he brings. It's just a positive presence, and obviously I think he was captain the last 2 years, so he's a leader, he's a winner, and he's a great player. And just having those guys in the locker room and kind of learning from them at this point in the year. I know we're already halfway through the year, but it was a nice change for us for sure.
And what tilted for yourself? That heard Simon on the webcast there at the weekend saying arguably Greg Printz's best game in a Belfast Giants search, certainly from earlier in the season anyway. There's been a up and down for yourself on a personal level, but real strong performances at the weekend.
Yeah, I think I just tried to stick to my games, tried to play physical. I met with Kiefer a couple of times throughout the week. He said, you've been growing into your game, you've been getting better and better, but I don't want you to get away from the things that make you successful. So I just kind of took those words and ran with them and ended up producing a little bit and having a couple good games.
Greg, obviously, again, you touched on it there. We've coughed up a few leagues this year. We obviously the Coventry game, which we don't really want to mention anymore. Dundee 5. We've had 2, 3, 4 goal leads and end up losing those games. But those games at the weekend, when obviously the Panthers took the lead, and even watching from where I watched the game, obviously in the TV studio, the booth, there didn't seem to be any panic at the weekend. Is there a different mentality now that that I don't want to diss anybody that's been there and gone, but is there a different mentality now with the likes of Goody and Cully and Roachy all coming back in, who know the system that Adams plays, and Adam obviously trusts these guys, because ultimately if he didn't, he wouldn't be bringing them back?
Yeah, for sure. I think that's definitely a huge part of it. Just like, obviously you guys all see what they play, but you don't see what they bring off the ice as much in the locker room. Goody's talking to us before the game. Cully, Roachy's, he's been around all year, but he hasn't really been around like he wants to be. But now that he's a full-time player and part of the lineup, he definitely can bring his wisdom to us. And even on the bench, Goody's always getting us to calm down. Like, we gave up that first goal and everybody's kind of like, oh, here we go again. But he's like, boys, we're fine. Like, we have 58 minutes left in this game. Like, we know we're a good team. So it's just things like that. They're just kind of a calming presence for all of us that we've kind of been missing. And obviously it's tough with our Cooper being out, because he was at for us earlier in the year. But with him dealing with injury, it's nice to have Goody be able to come in and step up.
You just touched on the injury situation there. Have you ever been involved with a team with so many injuries throughout the year?
They just seem like they keep coming. I don't know. It started with game one. Gino got hurt, and then kind of snowballed from there. We've had guys that haven't even played league games. We've had guys in and out of the lineup. It makes it, obviously missing those guys is tough, but another thing it does, it just messes with the chemistry. Like, you're moving up, you have different line mates every week. You got different power plays because you don't know who's going to be in, who's going to be out. So it definitely makes it difficult. It's not an excuse by any stretch, because we have a lot of great players on this team, top to bottom, but definitely messing with the chemistry and missing some of those guys hurts us.
Moving into this weekend, Nottingham away, Coventry away, on a road trip for a double-header weekend away. What's the mood in the camp? I know he's had a day at Holloway Golf Club today.
Yeah, I mean, we've had a couple of days off here, had a nice team building, got together with the guys. I think it's just been a really good reset. Well deserved after the weekend, which we haven't felt we deserved in a while. So getting those 4 points, we felt we deserved a little bit of time to get together and enjoy each other. And I think it'll be nice for us to go on the road, play 2 games. Usually it's one home, one away, so you're doing a lot of traveling. I think it'll be nice to stay in a hotel, get to spend some time with the guys, and then obviously take care of business with these 2 games. Nottingham's going to come out hard. They're a real strong team, and we just swept them, so they're going to want their revenge. And then Coventry, I mean, just blew a 4-0 lead against them, so I think we have something to prove to them, ourselves, and the league. So.
One last question. It comes in from somebody who's watching in, but I'm going to flip it a little bit. There's a question here from a Jason Ellery that says, Princey, why the long face? But I'm going to flip this a little bit. What obviously you're talking about injuries, and there's one right there. What does Taff mean in the room?
Oh, he's everything. I mean, he does so many things for us that we don't even see. Like, I came into the rink at 4:30 and saw his ankle, and I was like, oh my God. First thing I said to him, I was like, what are we going to do? I was like, how are we going to get set up at Dundonald? Like, who's going to do all the skates and stuff? So without him, our team doesn't function. He's behind the scenes, the heart and soul of our team. He takes care of everything for us. He does an amazing job. So it's definitely tough, but I mean, he was still there sharpening skates on crutches, wheeling around. I think he's going to get a scooter maybe. So we'll be able to take care of him, but we'll take care of him as well. So he's unbelievable.
Just on that, Paddy, obviously Taft's been training up Wee Jude over the last couple of years, and Wee Juder was absolutely brilliant on Saturday night.
Oh, he's outstanding every night. We got to get him on the bench. I don't know. He was running around in the locker room, but we got to get him on the bench.
He can't see over the bench. He's getting taller, but he still can't see over the bench.
True. Might even get him a step stool, but we got to get him on the bench for one of these games coming up.
Absolutely. But we all wish Taff well, as you say. Listen, Greg, we really appreciate your time. Good luck this weekend against Nottingham and Coventry, and maybe we'll chat to you again before the season ends.
Awesome. Sounds good. Thank you very much for having me. Talk to you guys soon.
Cheers, Princey.
Cheers, Greg. Thank you.
Big thanks to Greg Printz for his time. And you're absolutely right, Says there was a player who, probably had his best game in Giants uniform this last weekend.
I don't think it. I mean, again, I thought he had a couple of big performances at the start of the season in the CHL. And he's had moments of which you see that he's what he's capable of. I was speaking to Adam after the game Saturday night, and he said that he thought Princey he had a really, really strong week in practice. And that, you could just see a wee bit, Do you know what? I think he needs that wee bit of anger. It's a bit like Jim Vandermeer. Jim's a lovely guy off the ice, and some of the best stories I've ever heard anybody tell from hockey perspective. But see, when Jim gets angry, he's one of those guys you just do not want to be around. With regards to, you want him on your side, but you don't want him off on your opposition. And I thought Printz was a wee bit angry on Saturday night. I mean, you seen that top of the stick that he broke around your man's wrist with the lead up at Davy Phillips, got Kelsall and Davy Phillips behind the net. Davy came out front, just dropped the gloves, and Kelsall didn't. Fair play to the kid. He basically created a power play for them, which ultimately they unscored on. And Printz comes across the ice. I can't remember who it was. He just let him know what the story was. But Printz a big boy, and there was nobody on the ice from the Panthers side of things that did anything about it. But when Davy was up against it and Printz came in to let him know that this isn't going to be tolerated, I thought that was really good to see as well, because there's been a bit of criticism over the last while that there's nobody there standing up for each other, and I think again with a wee bit of more camaraderie around the room, I thought that that was really good to see as well.
And Davey, let me just bring it back, because we did just bounce straight on to the Greg Printz interview, but the chat from Tyler Beskorowany in regards to the experience in the Spengler Cup, not just from a personal point of view, but from a Belfast Giants point of view, it's great that he had that opportunity. It's great exposure. It's great for us.
First and foremost, it's great for him and his family, and it was something special for his dad and all to be over at Christmas and then being able to go on over to Davos for New Year's and stuff. So, like, for Belfast Giants getting exposure in European hockey is no surprise anymore. But credit that Tyler came through the group stages, or the first phase as on that All-Star team. So every credit to him. Obviously, they're keeping a tabs on him in North America. Right through. I'm dead interested in that. See that manifestation kind of stuff. You put stuff out into the world. I don't believe in it, but the more I hear people doing it, the more good stuff happens. It's weird.
I've had experience of it this week. Well, not me personally, but where we live, my wife's cousin, very good friend of mine, Kev, lives around the corner. I just went to Tesco's, right? Just went to pick up something at Tesco's, and as I came out of Tesco's, I bumped into Kev, and Kev just stands there, looks at me, and goes, "That's weird." I says, "Why?" He says, as I came around the corner, I just thought to myself, you know what's weird? I never bump into Patrick. He lives around the corner. I never bumped into him in Tesco's. And like 30 seconds later, he's bumping into me. He feels like he just manifested this. It's just like, why is he thinking it then? And then suddenly it was there. Is it?
Nah, that's a coincidence. That's a coincidence, mate.
That's a manifest.
No, but look, real credit to Besco. The numbers, as he said, the numbers he said himself, like through October, November, after we went out of the Champions Hockey League and through that tough November month, numbers were up and down. But obviously, he was playing a lot of hockey. He was training, as said on the podcast previously as well. Wasn't feeling great. Had a bit of illness about him as well, but had to carry that load. And his numbers weren't where they wanted to be. He's had that little bit of a break. He's came back those two games against the Panthers. 120 minutes, 1.5 goals against average. You're not going to argue with that. 50-something shots, 3 goals against. Great. Good to have him back.
Absolutely. Right, let's batter ahead. And just briefly, we'll just cover the Views on the Bridge Player of the Month for December, sponsored by Phonacab. We asked you to cast your votes, and the winner was Jeff Baum in a very tight competition. 34% of the vote. Just ahead of Davy Phillips, Bobby McIntyre, and Oliver Cooper. Says Jeff Baum, December's Player of the Month. Fair enough.
Absolutely. Look, when we look back at December, there wasn't a plethora of players that you could choose from. Up and down. A wee bit like Chris Ellis was saying. Some guys, some nights just 3 or 4 guys turn up. The next night there's another 3 or 4 guys turn up. But what do you get from Jeff Baum's consistency? Arguably, probably the best defenseman so far this year, and I think Jeff's probably honest enough to turn around and say, he knew he wasn't coming in as number 1 defenseman, but at times he's had to step up, and he's played power play. He plays shorthanded all the time. He's took the injury, come back again probably a wee bit earlier than what he should have come back, because he's seen the team that were hurting, and that's just the type he's at. He's been given the A. obviously since Mark Garside got hurt earlier in the season, and it's thoroughly deserved because he, again, you know what you're going to get from him. I'm sure his dad's probably sitting in the showroom in Texas right now watching this, and he knows I'm a big fan of Jeff Jr. So you know it's thoroughly deserved. He very, very seldom has a bad game, very, very seldom. And by bad game I mean one of those ones where he goes, he doesn't stand out. He does the simple things right. Yeah, congratulations to Jeff for Player of the Month.
Davey, your thoughts?
He was my nomination last week. I said that I'd be voting for Bomber in a month where we struggle to put the puck in the net on a consistent basis. You probably need to look towards the back end. Bobby McIntyre, probably a notable exception up front, came in and scored a decent amount of points. What was 12 points in 16 games or something through December? Bobby McIntyre had, so good nomination. Oliver Cooper obviously came back from injury, did all right. Davy Phillips did well on the back end. But for me, just that consistency, and I think Simon talked about it as well, just that level of consistency that Jeff had right through that month of December. Keep it simple. Stupid is not what to say. He chips it out. He resets. He does all the little things. Mark Garside was on with Sis there talking about that tandem that they had when he first came in. He makes players around him better. And that's probably the best compliment you can pay Jeff Baum. He just, when he's on the ice, the players around him become better players. Go ahead, Sis.
You just touched on that, Davey. Obviously Cameron Pound coming into play his first 14 games now, whatever it is, from his professional career, and Bombers, just stood right in beside him and teaching him the ropes. So I just think he's I don't want to sound as if I'm underrating him, but he's absolutely dependable. He's one of those ones where, again, you can just know that if you put him out there in any situation, that you're going to get 100% from him, and that's all you can ask from anybody.
Look at the responsibility there that Adam keeps putting on him. He's not going to Charlie Curdy. He's not going to Jacob Friend. He's not even going to Roachy or any of those guys. He went to Jeff Baum. He did it last year. He's doing it this year. When the chips are down and you need somebody like a young guy coming through, and Jeff Baum was that young guy coming through 2-3 years ago, and he's now that dependable. He's got the A in the chest. He's a leader in the room. He's a leader on the ice. And there's the terrible. Seeing his cowboy boots there was something to behold when he came out of the locker room the other week at Christmas. Off the rodeo, Jeff, but brilliant guy.
Take the lad out of Texas.
I wouldn't like him to get caught in East Belfast dressed up like that, but brilliant fella. I love him to death.
Paddy, what do you think?
Well, there's nothing I can add, Johnson. I think that over these last number of seasons, Jeff Baum's progressed. We know he came in here and more or less it was his first professional sort of experiences and coming in, and he's just got better and better and better. He was out for those few games and he came back and he just hit the ice running, and it was like he hadn't been away. He brought such steadiness to the day, and it was brilliant to watch. Such a good player, and such a nice lad. His dad as well. Big shout to Jeff Baum Senior. But really, an integral part of this organization now, as well as the team on the ice, and even with the big hats and the cowboy boots. Like I say, you can take the lad out of Texas, but you can't take the Texas out of the lad. Congratulations to Jeff Baum on winning December's View from the Bridge Player of the Month, sponsored by Phonacab. You would have received that award on Saturday had I not been out and totally forgotten. Sorry about that, buddy. But the next home game we get, we'll hopefully get that presented to you and on the ice. But yep. Big thanks to everybody who voted. It was over nearly 700 votes come in, and he got the large proportion of them. Right. A little bit of news. Let me just give you, for those watching, a bit of the goals of the week while I read you some of the news. There we go. It's been a fun week in the Elite League, for social media wise. Lots of people getting annoyed over next to nothing. While on the ice, Sheffield still march relentlessly forward. 5-3 win away to the Storm. 6-1 win at home to Dundee. 2 overtime losses for Fife, at home to Guildford on Saturday and away to Coventry on Sunday. While Dundee preceded their hammering in Sheffield with a 4-3 OT win over the Clan. The only other result of the weekend was a 3-1 win for the Flames over the Storm down in Surrey. Congratulations to Nomad Astana of Kazakhstan, who wrapped up the Continental Cup in 2 days in Cardiff. Seems like it was a fun weekend, regardless, in the Bay. Not least to our old friends Katowice, bringing their noise as they did here in 2018 and 2019. Cardiff, of course, picked up the gauntlet of the competition after Guildford and Sheffield ran away from the challenge. But don't say it out loud. Oh, sorry. Don't say this out loud, Patrick. If people don't like it. Okay, sorry about that.
Did anybody see the comment about the police were in the building
Yeah.
for the Katowice fans?
Yeah.
No.
What was that all about? Katowice fans
Okay.
when they're in Belfast were absolutely brilliant.
And I think it was just on a purely precautionary. They were up on the TV gantry about a dozen cops. It wasn't like the Katowice came in numbers, and you know how sensitive Cardiff fans are, so they just got to be careful.
Nottingham fans this weekend, I believe, but
Purely all fans apart from our fans. Our fans.
exactly. We're not sensitive in the slightest, mate.
We can be needy too. We can be needy too.
I did say to Gaz Hughes, obviously he was doing commentary with Devils TV. I did say you had to be prepared when it came to the Katowice fans, because there's going to be a lot of topless men with yellow scarves, and that's exactly what happened. It's good fun, good bunch of lads. Right, let's have a quick look at the league table. Sorry, lads, we are going to have to. Like I say, Sheffield Steelers are leading the way. They've only dropped 5 points, if my calculations are right. 27 games, 49 points. We are in second, 28 games, 35, level with the Guildford Flames. We're above them on regulation wins. Cardiff have a few games to catch up, having taken a couple of weekends with the Continental Cup. But they're on 33 points. Then Dundee, Coventry, Glasgow, and the Manchester Storm round out the 8, and at the bottom of the league table, and the Five Flyers, 30 played, 23, and we talked earlier about Nottingham Panthers, 24 games played, 22 points. You just said it there, says relentless from the Steelers to drop 5 points at this stage of the season.
That's incredible. I mean, again, they've been brilliant. It's, it pains me to say it sometimes, but they've been absolutely outstanding this year. I mean, I've already said it on a couple of podcasts ago when they came into Belfast. I thought they were the best team I've seen this year, and I'm not going to change my mind. They've got everything in position right now to go on and win the league, and the only one that's going to beat them is going to be themselves. So there's not many teams that are capable of beating the Steelers at the minute. I think that's fair to say. They're just finding. They went down a couple of goals a couple of weeks ago. I can't remember who it was against, and they just come back and ended up winning 7-2, I think it was. And there's just quality right the whole way throughout. But it starts with Matt Greenfield in net, who's been brilliant. So look, there's a long way to go. There's half the season left for them, just one game less than us, and we need to start worrying about our own game. It's if we concentrate and pick one game at a time, and we talked about it earlier, one game at a time, one period at a time, one shift at a time, and just try and get on a bit of a run ourselves. We've still got to play them 3 times, but it's going to be very, very difficult to stop them. To make no mistake about that.
I fully agree with that. And Davey, we said it many a time over in the past, especially when it came, when we were doing well. I'm sure people saw it from us when Cardiff were doing well. When these teams go down, the teams that are chasing championship, when these teams go down, everybody's eyebrows go up. If they're a goal down, 2 goals down. But by the end of the game, the teams that are really battling for a championship, they find a way to go from 1, 2, 3 goals down to taking points in the game, be that 1 or 2.
There's no much point in dwelling much more on that league table. It is what it is at the minute, and as Simon has alluded to there, it's a game at a time. We can all, Giants, Guildford, and the Devils, the 3 closest chasers, are probably even thinking at this stage that Dundee Stars aren't in the picture. They almost have to go perfect now, and the Steelers can drop 6, 7, 8 games at this stage. So it's a mountain to climb, but you start climbing a mountain at the bottom, and you take one step up it and see what happens. Some people get to the top, some people have to turn around halfway.
Uh,
Have you seen that comment from Margaret Patterson?
What did you say? I wasn't really listening.
No, it's basically just saying, I'm just saying that how good the Panthers have been, sorry, the Steelers have been this year. And she's telling me to watch from that thing. Thanks, Margaret.
And they should, like, listen, we've said it, they should be good. I'm saying no more than they should be good.
100%. I'm sure the amount of money being spent, you know, when
there you go. You're allowed to say it.
Now you're going to get all the tweets in it.
I don't care. It doesn't worry me. You know, it's apparently we've never ending pockets, which, you know, we've got the biggest cost for transport, for hotel stays, for, you know, our travel compared to every other team in the league is off the charts. But yeah, that's right. We're never ending pockets for sure.
Two more things. One, Nathan Doherty says statement Claxon. I know what you're referring to. You're referring to the Glasgow Clan and the statement they had to make and all this stuff to go in there. All I'm going to say is that's a storm in a teacup to me. That's one game. People just need to just calm down. Go to the game. So basically, I don't get into it. On Thursday, the Glasgow Clan opened to season ticket holders the ability to purchase your season ticket seat for the semi-final of the Challenge Cup. They said you had until, I think either today or tomorrow, to Tuesday or Wednesday, to get your season ticket seat. Things changed, and they decided on Sunday, actually, we haven't had that many purchases. We're going to open general sales immediately. So those season ticket holders that didn't buy on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, or Sunday were wanting those 2 extra days to buy them, and they're up in arms that, you know, I've lost my season ticket seat. For me, it's just, you know, sit somewhere else. Like, you know what I mean? Tickets don't get me wrong. If it sells out and you're a season ticket holder and you've missed out because of it, then you probably have a reason to be angry. But to me, sit somewhere else. You know, it's you had Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday to buy these tickets. You didn't do it. Yes, you maybe should have 2 extra days. Sit somewhere else. Davey, not convinced?
I can see both sides of the argument. Yeah, I totally agree with you. You know, if you want to go to the game, it was a £10 ticket as well. So, you know, get in and get it bought. But it's a bit one of those. Don't want to criticize another team or another club and how they run their operation. If you say you've got the Tuesday to buy your ticket, you're maybe trying to work shifts out, you're maybe waiting to get your pay on a Friday, whatever the reason is, you hadn't bought it. You were told you had a certain date to buy it, and you that's changed.
Yeah, there are people saying they're going to boycott the game and stuff like that.
That's just stupid, and they'll not.
Yeah, is it the first or is it the second leg?
First leg.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure it's the first leg. I'd have to have a look. It's a good point, actually.
You know, if it's the second leg, you would have thought that some people sort of hold off because it's away to Sheffield, and you know, they're sort of holding off to see what the result is from the first leg. But
it's Glasgow, it's Glasgow and Skilford. So it's,
sorry.
It's this Saturday. It's the first leg this Saturday at 7 p.m.
Get your tickets as soon as they come available, folks. That's just the way it goes. You know, it's unfortunate, but just get your tickets when they become it's a semi-final of a competition, which, let's be honest, the Steelers don't reach that many of them. So if you get your team into a semi-final, get your tickets as soon as you can.
Yeah, absolutely. And then the only other thing I want to say at this point is, Davey,
just before you go, Scott Finlay, has he done his shirt?
3-on-3 podcast, Scott Finlay. Sorry?
Has he worn his Giants shirt to a game yet?
This Giants shirt? No, he absolutely has not.
Are you going down on Sunday? What?
I'm intending on being down there on Sunday. I'm not sure if he's going to be there. That forfeit is yet to be fulfilled. So let's find out from Scott if he's going to be there or not. Big shout out to Scott Finlay. Oh, he's done a very good. By the way, a very good interview with Johnny Curran. If you check it out on Twitter, obviously Johnny's come back to the Coventry Blaze, and Scott spent a bit of time chatting to him, and Johnny gives a bit of insight as to his time in the Giants and maybe what his thoughts and why it didn't work out. But very good. Check it out. We'll put it on our socials. Check it out, and big shout to Scott. Very, really well done. Right. One more thing, Davey. And that is, do you want to give a shout out to this mate of yours?
See where this is going. I don't know where this is going here.
Did it not come up there? Oh, no, hold on. There we go. There it is.
Ah, my man. Yaniv Printz made it to the NHL from, oh, there we are. That's me and my buddy Yaniv after the Friendship 4 game. Quinnipiac, yeah.
Yep.
In 2022. Seems like a long
21.
time ago.
22,
now.
yeah, 22.
Oh, you're right.
November, Thanksgiving 2022, because we didn't have the 2023 version, obviously. Called up by the Hurricanes over the Christmas period, sat a number of games on the bench, got the tap on the shoulder, just like Besko earlier, to go into a game. Was it last night, Simon? Was it, or Monday night? Monday night. He got called in, got a few minutes in the game, living his dream. He's done really well in the ECHL this season. Actually, looking at the ECHL stats there last week over something else and seeing guys like Griggle's doing pretty well, Yaniv Printz doing well, our very own Peyton Jones numbers outstanding in that league as well. So good to see some really strong goaltending that have all, had their skates on Odyssey ice. But it's, good luck, Yaniv. You never know. As I said, back then, late November, early December, when we did the podcast, I was interviewing him for whatever TV channel that was going out. And I've said to him, like, Yaniv, you're obviously, after the cameras are closed, obviously, you've probably got a little bit of talent. If it doesn't work out in the NHL, get our guys to call your guys, and there'll always be a slot here. And that's when the language barrier broke down, where he was going, I'm sorry, I can't really understand what you're saying there, mate. I says, well, look, we'll be in touch. We'll be in touch. So
Is it just me, or does he look like you?
I was thinking it's just that at the same
Maybe
time.
your son, Davy.
My boy. My boy. What age do you think I am?
Well, he's only 23, is it? 23, 24?
I'm only 35.
Aye, all right, dead on. Said your haircut that.
Move on. Let's get this. Let's get this show wrapped.
But before obviously the Friendship 4 coming by. This is a Friendship 4 year, and we've had the successes, says there, of the Friendship series, and it's good that it's coming back again.
Yeah, he's only 23. Just a double check. Yes, you know what? Listen, and I don't know if there's anybody listening and watching what we do on a Tuesday night, and they haven't got tickets and haven't been to the Friendship 4 before. Trust me in this. It's absolutely brilliant. The quality of hockey is outstanding. The players that you're going to see are outstanding. It's a million miles an hour. The physicality, if you like the physical side of the game, you're going to love this. They just are like non-stop for 60 minutes or 65 minutes, depending on what it is. It's unbelievable. It's, this year you've got Notre Dame, you've got Harvard, you've got BU coming back, and you've got Merrimack coming for the first time. Listen, as soon as the tickets become available, get them. Don't wait for anything else happening. He's got his shirt ready already. Don't be waiting for a deadline on tickets saying that they're not available. As soon as they become available, get your tickets. You can thank me later.
Don't be a fan.
Definitely well worth it.
Absolutely.
Two things. Mark Reid. Being a wee bit cheeky there. 35-inch waist if you're lucky. I have a 30-inch waist. Thank you very much. Same waist as I had when I left school, my friend. And Sophie Chart, loved seeing the women playing the first time. Phenomenal. A bit of like the Friendship 4 with the men's tournament, the Friendship series, the women's tournament. We talked about it last week. If you can see it, you can beat it. Brilliant to see the ladies on the ice.
100%. 100%. 2 games for the Belfast Giants this weekend, as we've mentioned before. The Panthers away and the Blaze away. Panthers Saturday at 7 p.m. at the NIC. And if you're not making, I know a good few people, because it's 2 games in the Midlands. So I know a good few people are making the trip over to go between the NIC and the Sky Dome. So if you're not making that trip on Saturday, you can join Jono and Dan Green on Panthers TV, and then we go down to the Sky Dome to face the Blaze once more Sunday at 5:30 p.m. at the Sky Dome. And if you're not making that trip, you can join Ed and Stu on the fantastic Blaze TV. Any other business, lads?
Don't think so.
No. It's been pretty comprehensive, and some good chats today. And I really enjoyed that chat with Besko as well. I thought the final about the Spender Cup really Yeah.
He just comes on, and we get the exclusives from Besco, so that's what it's all about.
Yes, so big thanks to Tyler Beskorowany and to Greg Printz, and of course to Chris Ellis. Thanks for joining us once again in his dressing gown, as he seems to do. Listen, if the next time we get him on, if he's not in his dressing gown, I'm going to be disappointed. Let's be
absolutely. Just quality.
We've got a comment in there from Mark Hitchcock asking if I fancy GB in Cardiff, and the answer, Mark, is no. Like I say, the games this weekend: Panthers away Saturday at 7 p.m, Blaze away Sunday at 5:30 p.m. Get them on their webcasts if you're not making the trip, and I hope those that are, I hope they have a good time. Gentlemen, thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Patrick, David.
You see, as always, big thanks to everybody who's been tuning in and all your comments, and that's that. You can get us podcast at kingdomofthegiants.com, at AVFTB on X or Twitter, or yes, us Facebook, kingdomofthegiants.com website, and all the usual sort of stuff. Watch us on YouTube or on Facebook, and wherever you are this weekend. And if you are making that trip to Nottingham and Coventry, we hope you enjoy your hockey. We'll catch you here next time on A View from the Bridge.